Hi everybody! My previous tutorial showed how to make your chord progressions sound like jazz. This tutorial will give you some general tips about melody improvisation. You certainly have already realized that playing all the white keys randomly becomes very boring after a short while. But how can we make our melody improvisation more interesting? In tutorial number 5, I talked about a theme or a melody which can be played in between our improvisation parts. But there are also other ways. For example, you use the same turnaround at the end of each chord progression. The turnaround is at the very end of a chord progression before you start all over again. Let's use our 2-5-1-6 chord progression from our last tutorial. And always play the same melody on the last of these 4 chords. For example, we use the single notes of the last chord with the right hand as a turnaround melody. And I do that every time to receive a recognizable fragment in my improvisation. We use the 4 notes of the last chord 2 octaves higher as single notes. Or I can try to use the chord with the right hand and give it a special rhythm. I will try to play more or less the same as before with another turnaround. These things like a repeating melody, a theme, or a turnaround are not so much about the improvisation technique as such, but it's more about the structure of a song. Because beginners sometimes tend to just play the improvisation scale up and down, which rather sounds like a musical exercise. Now I like to focus more on technical aspects to improve your melody improvisation. So far we have just played 1 key at a time with the right hand. But how about playing 2 keys at a time? The question is, which distance should the 2 keys have? Some keys don't really work together. But for our 7 chords in root position, we play every second wide key. So it seems to be natural to try the same distance with the right hand. In the next step, we shift the upper of the 2 keys 1 octave down and receive a distance which works as well. The more keys you play at a time, with the right hand, the more difficult it becomes. But at least you can always double the left hand chords with your right hand. It also helps to practice licks. A lick is a short melody line. It can be used during your improvisation to make your song recognizable. But you can also use a lick as a bridge. You can bridge moments of missing improvisation creativity, or you can bridge the distance from one octave to the next. Let me show a few examples. A simple bridge could be to break up the chords. Let me start with time bridge, where you stay in the same octave. I break up the first chord into single notes and end on the first key of the second chord. So it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I end on. And then I break up the third chord and end up on the first note of the last chord. And together it sounds like this. This is quite easy because you more or less just use what you already have done with your left hand. Here comes an octave up bridge. So I just break up all the 4 chords and always go one step up. You can also go down. And altogether it could sound like this. Let me summarize. During this tutorial we looked into ways to pimp up our right hand improvisation. But we're still trapped in the world of white keys. So far we only have used white keys for our left hand chord progressions and for the right hand melody improvisation. The next tutorial will focus on playing with all white and black keys. Thanks for watching.